Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and today we're going to become coroners. We have a dead body here in front of us, and on the toe tag, let's see, what's this guy's name? The hopes and dreams of a successful 2021 Miami Dolphins season. That's the deceased. Official date of death, Sunday, October 17th, location in London. Today, we're going to do an autopsy to determine what exactly the reasons for death are. Foul play? Self-harm? Why is it dead? We'll look at how this offense and defense is structured to see if we can pinpoint what has gone wrong so far and if things can be fixed to salvage a somewhat respectable season. So strap up and let's dive in. Start on the offensive side of the ball here. And as much as we've been railing on this team, bitching about their lack of identity, it's important to note that this was not always the plan. Flores and Greer had a vision, and that vision just hasn't come to fruition. Thus, here we are, repetitively stating that this team has no identity. But when you go back to the end of last season, look at the moves that were made in the draft and during the summer, was there even a strategy? Yeah, there was. The Dolphins wanted to build a modern NFL offense, one that uses speed, spacing, and matchups to effectively move the ball downfield and score. We're seeing all the elite offenses move to this style of offense. Despite the losing, in the two games that we've seen with Tua at the helm, these flashes of what that offense could be do occur. If you recall, the opening possession for Miami in London, as well as the touchdown drive, which put the Fins up 20-17 in the same game, did you notice how it seemed Mike Gesicki was just wide open on those drives? That's because the Dolphins, on those few select plays, actually used their talent properly, spaced out the defenders, and found the hole in the zone where Gesicki could get to and have Tua find him. We saw a good amount of chunk plays like this in the passing game. And considering Miami was without Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, and Preston Williams, I think Tua did a damn good job when given the opportunity to throw the football. So, despite what the national media is saying, and Twitter, and even a contingent of alleged Miami Dolphins fans, I don't actually believe our passing game is the cause of death here. Where I think Miami's hurt themselves the most, and I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, but it's with their inability to run the ball. And that goes on the running backs, of course. We don't have a lead guy who can gain yards consistently in spite of poor blocking in front of him. But to be honest, there are really only a handful of guys who can do that anyway in the league. And the investment in those guys, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, they never really pan out for sustained success. No, where a running game is built doesn't start in the backfield. It starts in the trenches. So when doing this autopsy on the Dolphins offense and the demise of the season, I think we know who's liable for death: the offensive line. Having so much youth, so much inexperience, sprinkled in with subpar talent in the few veterans you got, does not generally make a stout unit. Miami has shifted the line around so much. No rhythm, no consistency, and just no chemistry has been built. The team's inability to push the line affects everything. Obviously, you can't wear down a defense and sustain drives when your first down runs go for maybe 1 or 2 yards. Play-action fakes don't work because the defense isn't threatened by any run game, and when you're ineffective on early downs, then the defense can pin their ears back and go after your passer on 2nd and 3rd and long. So the offensive line's issues have been magnified because they're just not getting any push. Going back to this past weekend, Tua was pressured 20 times by the Jags defense. 20. Know how many times he was sacked? Zilch. 0. Nada. Some point to an improvement along the line. You're not going to say that the offensive line was the same as they were in Buffalo. They have obviously improved a little. Having the same unit go out there again, the same exact unit with Liam Eichenberg at left tackle and Austin Jackson at left guard, that obviously probably led to some more chemistry. But if you go back and actually watch the game, Tua was under duress consistently. It kind of looked the same as the first 5 weeks, but one of his many underrated talents is pocket awareness and mobility. We saw him tuck and run the ball on multiple occasions, and yeah, people have highlighted that one play, his poor decision to throw the ball in 3rd and short rather than taking the easy first with his legs, but that's something that can be corrected, and that's also something that's going to be improved with experience. Not to mention, Tua converted on fourth on that same drive, allowing the drive to continue. So the point is kind of moot there. His other talent is the ability to feel pressure. Again, 20 pressures from the Jags, 0 sacks. Some credit goes to the O-line, but again, if you're getting pressures, it means that they're bleeding through. So that goes to the quarterback. And look, I know some of you are scoffing, going, look, Tua cannot feel pressure. What are you talking about? Didn't he just miss the last 3 weeks due to not being able to handle pressure? Well, dear listener, if you go back and watch that play, he didn't have a chance. The line was not holding for half a second, let alone enough time for Tua to even make the guy miss or do anything. The only thing he could do was throw the ball away and pray that the hit wouldn't be too bad. Unfortunately, it knocked him out and put him on IR. But in London, time after time this past weekend, Tua made slight adjustments in the pocket, finding space for him to reset his feet, as well as manipulating defenders with his eyes and body to open up passing lanes. This is something he did well at Alabama and is one of the reasons he was considered a high-round prospect. So the main point here, Miami's offensive line is to blame for most every issue the Dolphins' offense is having. It's just the truth. Get all the speed and talent on the outside you want, draft another Jalen Waddle, bring in another Will Fuller. I don't care. Bring in another talented, smart quarterback in the first round. It doesn't matter. Teams that win, they protect the football. They protect their running backs and open up lanes. They protect their quarterbacks and allow them to sit there, get comfortable, and start dicing defenses up. So far, the Dolphins have failed to do so. So now we've found one possible cause of death, the offensive line. But who's responsible for this? Because we talked a bit about that in the episode prior, so be sure to check that out if you've missed it. But I don't put this on Flores. We'll get to him, but no, the offensive line is on Chris Grier. It's his job to buy the ingredients for the cook. Flores is the cook, and he was given frozen vegetables from a gas station freezer that are 3 months expired to make some stir fry. Of course it tastes like shit. Now, do you want Flores and his staff to be better at coaching him up? Of course. But the talent along the line is subpar. We as fans knew it going into the year, so does Grier, and he doesn't escape criticism on that front. Give Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed the Bucs O-line, the Cowboys O-line, the Bills, they'd be studs. Behind this line in Miami, even a guy like Alvin Kamara could look pedestrian. Let's take a deeper look at the defense now to see why we look like Swiss cheese on Sundays and what happened in less than 12 months to make a borderline elite defense look amateur. We'll get to that after a quick word from our sponsor. CBDX.com is not your average CBD company. We've all tried CBD and none of it is like the real deal. CBDX is the real deal. And at CBDX.com, they ship right to your front door. Right now, our listeners get 20% off their orders at CBDX.com with promo code FINS. That's PHINS, FINS. CBDX makes delicious gummies and tremendous cartridges. All products on the website look, smell, taste, and feel the same. And they all actually work. CBDX.com is the future of buying CBD and other things online. So go to CBDX.com, enter promo code FINS with a PH for 20% off all orders, plus a free gift from the team at CBDX. That's a free gift on top of your order and the 20% off. Remember, don't use CBDX products before driving, operating heavy machinery, or getting tested. But that's CBDX.com with promo code FINS for 20% off all orders. Remember, CBDX loves football, and that's why they're here. So show them some love and support the show while you're at it. 20% off, plus a free gift when our listeners use the code FINS, PHINS, at CBDX.com. Thank you to them for sponsoring the show. Now that we've found a potential culprit on the offensive side of the football, let's look now at this once lauded defense. Because before we can analyze this season's collapse, it's important that we go back to see what made the unit click in 2020. A few things. One, health. Miami was able to have Xavier Howard, their best defender, play the full season, accumulating 10 picks along the way. So they stayed pretty healthy along the D-line, the linebacking core, aside from Landon Roberts, and in the secondary. Not many players missed extended periods of time. Miami had similar issues rushing the passer last year as they do this season, but that was covered up by an incredible scheme. Miami played, obviously, in general dime and nickel defensive fronts as well, just like everyone in the NFL. But what buttered their biscuit was the amoeba defense. Flores and Boyer would put 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 9 guys on the line of scrimmage, showing an all-out blitz look. And this forces the offense to pause, figure out who's coming, who needs to be picked up, If an audible needs to be made, it's done then, and the look itself speeds up a quarterback's mental clock. The mere threat of the all-out blitz rattles some passers, especially young ones, and they may throw a bad ball or take a sack simply due to having a mental breakdown. Think of the Rams game from last season. The look made Jared Goff poop himself. And again, this causes confusion pre-snap and post-snap and kind of brings the advantage back to the defense in a league where the offense has all the advantage. Now, Miami wouldn't bring the house every time they showed the amoeba look. Sometimes guys would just drop back into coverage. And it wasn't always the same guys who would drop back. Yeah, generally Jerome Baker, sometimes one of the outside linebackers like Van Noy or Van Ginkel would retreat. But the beauty of the look is that you can mix it up and ask different guys to do different things. That's the benefit of having versatile defensive pieces. Touching on the Rams game from last season again, Miami even dropped Christian Wilkins back into coverage from this front while sending the rest of the line and the blitz, resulting in a poor decision from Goff not seeing Wilkins or expecting him to be there, and Wilkins got his only career interception so far in his young career. So why is Miami struggling so mightily this season when they allegedly had a great scheme? I'm going to be honest, members of the pod, this is perhaps the biggest question for me about what's going on. It is so mind-bending, and I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know what's happened. From a talent standpoint, Miami's nearly identical, if not better. Yeah, you lost Van Noy, but it's not like he was some stud for us a season ago, and go ask New England fans what they think of his performance so far. He was getting outplayed by Kinky Ginky by season's end, and the team brought in Brennan Scarlett, who's a pretty comparable outside linebacker to Van Noy at this stage in his career. You lost Bobby McCain, who was a leader, sure, but not the best in coverage or run support. He was replaced by Javon Holland, who, by all intents and purposes, looks like an upgrade. They also upgraded the D-line, adding Adam Butler, because if you remember, Devon Godchow missed the entire season with a torn bicep. So you bring him in, you also add Jalen Phillips, everything looks better. The seemingly also bolstered the secondary with veteran guys like Justin Coleman, Jason McCourty, but again, for some reason, it's not clicking. The run defense has been abysmal as well. Miami routinely allows 5 to 7 yard chunks on first down, allowing opposing offenses to stay ahead of the sticks and sustain drives. So what's up? There are two potential reasons I see for Miami's poor defensive execution and this major regression. One, and the theory with the most fan support, is that Brian Flores has lost the locker room. He's tough to work with, let alone play for, according to some, so the messaging has gotten stale and the constant barrage wore down on the team. And for this reason, you could argue that the team has given up on him and doesn't really listen to the coaching. But here's the thing on that. Despite what I said in the last episode, yeah, there was a lot of angry emotions, the more I ponder this, the more I don't think it's the case. This will all be revealed in the coming weeks as well by how this defensive unit responds, but I do think the guys still play hard for Flo. I think there's another issue at hand, defensive play calling. We have not seen the amoeba front nearly as often this year, and Miami is running the wrong coverages or stunts at the wrong time far too many times. You'll see a moment where we dial something up, but the offense dialed up something to combat that perfectly. So there's clearly an issue with other offenses figuring us out when last year we were perhaps the most confusing unit in the league. The linebackers late to react, and the secondary's not nearly as in sync as they were a season ago. I believe a potential reason for this is Josh Boyer. Look, I like him, and I don't like throwing blame out there with zero evidence. I'm just a coroner. But right now, we're talking this out, trying to pinpoint what the cause of death has been for this season. Perhaps having an experienced OC last year in Chan Gailey, as well as a seasoned quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick, allowed Flores to stay more hands-off on the offense as a whole. He let the experienced guys work on that side, although not great, but better than what we've seen, giving him, as Flores, more time to work with Boyer and almost act as a co-defensive coordinator, overwatching the defensive scheme, the game plans, and he was intimately able to develop that defense and work on the week-to-week opponents. This season, with the struggles on offense, perhaps Flores felt like his most trusted assistant was Boyer, so he let up on the reins, allowed Josh to structure things far more than last season because of his staff. That's the side of the ball he had more faith in. So he takes his expertise off the defense and, again, because Flo needs to spend more time in the week on game day managing the offense more. Because on game day, if you notice, he's far more involved with the offense than he was last season. And again, considering he doesn't have a very experienced play caller on the coaching staff for the offense, it makes sense why he's paying more attention to what the offense is doing. And naturally, as a defensive guy, I bet he has more confidence in that unit each week when he's comparing it to his offense. Now, having one hand in each cookie jar spread him a little thin and it's prevented him from maximizing either side of the ball. He's not an offensive genius. So far, he's not looking like a defensive genius. But he's definitely better at coaching up a defense. And this season, because of the issues on offense, maybe he's devoting way too much time to offense and giving these inexperienced coaches on his defensive staff too much leeway, resulting in a regression. Look, this isn't an excuse for Flores, because ultimately, as a head coach, it's your job to bring a staff together who you respect and believe in and who can act as extensions of you. And that's just not happening right now. Dumb penalties, poor play calling from assistants, and no real development in talent is not solely on Flores' shoulders. No, that blame should go to the whole staff. But as the figurehead of the staff, the man who put it all together and hired these men, the blame for the death of this defense does fall on Flo. Fuck, man. Just a year ago, we're talking about naming this defense the no-flow defense. But people were so optimistic, including myself, and seeing the defensive genius of Flo. And then the Patriots also struggling on defense after he left. That highlighted the fact. But now, people aren't even sure he knows what good football is supposed to look like. Maybe Harvey Dent was right. You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So, as we sit here in this cold, dark, metallic morgue, looking at the deceased corpse of the 2021 Miami Dolphins season, I'm comfortable putting the cause of death down. One, yet another bad offensive line, holding back progress for the offense as a whole. The blame, more so than on the individual players themselves, I blame Chris Grier more than I blame Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson didn't get asked to get picked 18th overall. Chris Grier picked him 18th overall. Chris Grier decided not to bring veterans onto this offensive line or pay up for the guards or centers or another tackle. That's on Chris Grier. And the second reason for this cause of death, Flores might have gotten too much power too quickly. Maybe an expert should have been brought in to help hire the staff around him. Bring an experienced guy in, let him tell Flo, look, this is what you want. When shit hits the fan mid-season, you want experience at this position. You want experience at this position. Instead, the assistant coaches he brought in are not getting the job done, along with Flo himself. So, tragically, he is the other cause of death. What do you guys think? What has been the culprit for the lost season? Or is it even lost? Do you think Miami can rattle off 7-8-game winning streak to bring their season back to life? Let us know in the comments below. Miami faces another supposedly bad team this weekend as they get the Atlanta Falcons off of a bye. We'll get into that matchup in our next episode, talk about how Miami can earn that elusive second win of the season and break this month-plus long losing streak. Be sure to stick around for more. Check out our channel for other videos on different topics surrounding the Dolphins, and be sure to subscribe to not miss a thing. Fins up.
The Miami Dolphins. I picked him a borderline playoff team. I thought Brian Flores was going in the right direction. Tua was not the issue this weekend overseas. Last 2 years, they can't score. Their defense is caved. Their turnover differential is a different football team. And they were out-coached by Urban Meyer and the Jags. I'm not going to bang on Tua. He was fine. He was very good, actually. He had one really bad pick on an underthrow. But when he's got a healthy tight end, Mike Gesicki, he's good with that. But this was bad. This was not only a loss, a neutral field loss to the worst roster in the NFL, and Urban Meyer appeared to out-coach Brian Flores. And I got to be honest with you, a little bit of a shocker to me.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you to Timothy Ritchie, Brian Guger, and Go Hydra, members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the continued support, and please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show. Subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the show is available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram @PhinsPod. The conversations get lively over there. I hope you all have an amazing day. And until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.